brain scientist who published a paper because how do you research what's going on in somebody's brain ethically? You can't. So what happens? People get brain injuries. There'd be something would hit one side of the brain or the other. They test them to see do they lose their language, their facial recognition, their memory, their short-term memory. They do these experiments on people who had brain injuries. And when it was done, he said the brain is so complex, we only know what 10% of it is used for. That became we only use 10% of our brain. There was a
Okay, well, I just had to comment a little bit on this bit. So, well, it's a myth that we use only 10% of our brain. We've always heard about that. Sometimes we even hear 5%. Um, and the paper only said that basically well, scientists only could tell what 10% of the brain is used for. They just don't know what the rest is used for. It's probably being used, huh? But I would put that to the question a bit. Forget about the figures, 10%, 5%, 15%, but like judging by the actions that a human being does, and what possible thoughts and capacities and capabilities a person is capable of, well, I'm pretty sure that they have searched and researched every little movement, every little thought, every little action that a person does, and what parts of the brain are actually active when they do that. So I would say that, well, they found out that 10% of the brain is responsible for the normal, regular, day-to-day human activity. But the 90% is a little too much for what is unseen of the human activity. Like what is left individually in every person's character and behavior, other than the norm that applies to everybody, that shouldn't be 90% of the brain activity. But I would say other research have actually found that our brains are being calcified, basically by calcifying the pineal gland, which is responsible for the distribution of tasks on the brain. So basically, the calcification of the pineal gland happens by adding all that chloride and fluoride to your water, to your toothpaste, and to a lot of our diet, as well as much toxins that are added also to increase the calcification of the pineal gland in the brain. Now, what happens? Well, let me just explain what the pineal gland is. Actually, the pineal gland is what they call the eye of Horus, which is the all-seeing eye, the third eye. All those are names for it, basically because it does activate extrasensual activity in the brain, like foreseeing and perception of negative energies before something negative actually happens. You get that feeling of your heart is not feeling right, something is wrong, you just don't know what it is, all those things. But if your pineal gland is healthy, you will get a much clearer feeling and vision, possibly, of what is to happen. And you would get a better reaction, a faster reaction, you know, other things that are possible to have been part of our brain activity that is now oppressed by all those chemical components that we intake on a daily basis, through our food, through our water, through our very unhealthy drinks and caffeines and cigarettes and all this kind of stuff. So all that basically calcifies our pineal gland and destroys our capacities, our brain capacities, and limits it to the 10% that we're talking about here. And I do personally believe in that, because the moment I started to detox as much as I can, I can't say that I'm detoxing 100%, but as much as I can, and avoiding drinking water that has chloride and fluoride in it unless I really have to, and I choose the least amount of chloride, you would see massive variations between the different brands. So check them out, guys. You will see what I'm talking about. Uh, Back maybe a few years ago, there still were a couple of companies that had, that had their water free of chloride and fluoride, but lately they have shut them down. They actually, I've seen that happen. They pour chloride into, and fluoride actually, into the Nile water, plain into the Nile water, so that the source is contaminated. They pour that onto the land around wells so that the water underneath would absorb that, um, you know, chloride or the fluoride that they're pouring around. So, and I'm talking with the pronoun they because, well, everybody knows who I'm talking about, and well, I need to remain healthy to keep talking about it. So, anyways, uh, so it just caught my attention. This guy is one of the biggest scammers ever, because I've seen this guy in church talking about, acting as a priest and preaching God and stuff. And I've seen this guy talk about chemistry and provide a lecture in one of the very sound universities. Um, and obviously, we've all seen him as a spokesman of NASA. Now he's talking about, I don't know, brain and brain activity. Um, I don't know exactly what is his specialty, but I know for a fact that this guy is paid, and he's paid well. Okay, so I don't trust anything he says. Neither do I any of those paid scientists. I'd rather go through independent researchers. Those are people like you and I, and they have no benefit whatsoever in spending so much money on a research, because I mean, they're not gaining any money out of it. They just want to reach the truth. So most of the time, I listen to those. Um, and a lot of things, actually, we would be able to perceive a lot better and understand a lot better if we detox ourselves, if we free our minds from all that mind control that is being applied on us, using chemicals, using toxins, and using even ideologies being pushed into our brains through the media and whatnot. All that is just causing us to live in a big illusion, and totally misconceive reality. And that's what got me interested in this video. I just wanted to point out the fact that our brains are awesome, and someone has a benefit in actually destroying our brains as a mass and keep his in a good shape. So we need to remember nobody cares about us other than us. Okay? People look for their own benefit, no matter who they are, no matter what responsibilities they have promised to take onto themselves. Promise doesn't mean action. So it's time for a good awakening. It's time to realize who we are, what we're here for, and what those people are pumping into our brains. Be careful, people. Believe in yourselves, and look after one another. That's the best advice I could possibly give. Talk to you later.
Guy, a brain